This is an example, domain.com, product-category, color, brand, etc. This allows you to really reinforce that relevance. So for example, if I'm selling the Sony Walkman, for example, the product category could be Walkmans, the color could be black, and then I could reinforce the structure of what it is that I'm attempting to convey. So search engines are looking for information across a variety of different regions within your web page or within the site itself, as well as from other pages, to determine how it should essentially assign which page is more important. So that's one way to do it. Another thing that you might want to consider is site architecture, which is extremely important. The way your website is assembled determines how search engines respond to your pages. And in order to promote deep crawling from the spiders, key areas in your site architecture are necessary to pass the flow of domain authority from page to page. So we had talked about the use of sitemaps. So for example, if your main landing pages are here, for example, there's two different things to look at. Most websites typically have all the links going to their home page, and they're in something that's called a flat site architecture. That's not always the best way to do things, because what happens is they become overly dependent on the home page. This is an example of just a different type of site architecture, but let's look at some of the things that you might want to do. So a typical site, you've got your home page at the top, technology, application, contact form, and then spread off of that you might have a few other things. Well, this is not necessarily the best way to do it. You might want to consider something that's called theming and sign, which is extremely important. It's sort of like the drip down approach, where your major theme is the actual main topic of your site, and that's the root folder. From there, you're going to have your subtopics, subtopic 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then under those you're going to have supporting articles. So the actual theme is the topic. The silos are the essentially the supporting articles or sub folders or subdomains that you utilize in order to reinforce relevance through the entire site structure. Another thing that search engines pay particular attention to is link popularity. And so in addition to having relevant titles, relevant meta descriptions, if you're using header tags or not, if you're using things like the bold, italics, or bullet points. Another thing we touched on was relevant URL structures. All of these things are very granular, and they all add up essentially. So that's for what's considered on-page optimization. But this is one area that we're getting into now that's called off-page. And so link popularity does matter. Essentially, who links to you, what amount of domain authority do they have, and what are they essentially passing on to your site, which is trust. So you have to think of this under the standpoint of peer review. So the longer a site has been online, the more trust and authority it can garner. In much the same way, if you are linking to bad sites, you hear a lot about search engine penalties. Penalties occur from you linking out to other sites that are not trusted. So for example, if there's a free-for-all page, or there's something that's called text to link ratio. If you have 200 links on a page and you only have one blurb of text, that's not the appropriate text to link ratio. For example, if you had 400 words on a page, one link would be suitable at that point, so that it's really sort of natural. You're not really going over the top and trying to overwhelm search engines with redundancy. So under the same token, when you're linking out to people, you have to make sure that those sites are reputable, or you might want to consider using a no-follow tag, which we can get into later as we progress into the SEO Impact series. Also, we talked about domain trust, and so search engines reward websites that have age. The longer you're online, the more of an opportunity you have to make a footprint in the link graph. It's extremely important. They also respect trusted links from other sites that are authoritative, or that if they have a wide array of traffic from a variety of sources. These are things that can expedite that authority process. We talked a little bit about off-page SEO, but we're going to get a little further into that right now. Why are links important for SEO? Well, essentially, links are the fabric of the web. Without them, you cannot move from page to page or website to website. And aside from their functional aspects, they also serve to produce key metrics and popularity, which in turn develop authority and augment rankings. So here's an example. This is your website. And so these are the things that search engines are looking at. They're looking for co-occurrence. How many websites essentially are mentioning your site or your pages in specific? So if you're linking to your home page, it's just considered a backlink. But if you're linking to a page specifically within your website, that's called a deep link. And then deep links do have a lot more merit down the road when you utilize them properly. So you don't just want to build links to your home page or have people link to you in one location. You want to spread it out. But let's look at some of the link popularity factors. So for example, number one, that it occurs naturally or that it appears that way. What I mean by that is, once again, if you're just one link on a page of 200 pages, or excuse me, 200 links on a page, that's not very natural, and you're really not going to get a lot of merit from that link. Also, that the link is one way, that it's non-reciprocal. Now, obviously, people have fallen under the notion in the years past that reciprocal linking was something that was very popular until it was abused. And so search engines are constantly having to revise their policies and algorithms to prevent spam in their index. And so this whole trading or swapping links thing has really lost weight over the years. And so the real way to build authority for your site is to attract one-way links from other sites. The best way to do that is to create link-worthy content. So it's also important that the link uses the main keywords for the page it links to. So if you want to rank higher for best Chicago personal injury attorney, then that would be the best link or anchor text that a person would use to link to you if you wanted to rank higher for that phrase. So topicality is extremely important. It does help if that link is from a related site. So for example, if you're a dentist and you receive a link from an automotive racing firm, it may not help you because it's not really topically aligned. It's not to say that it won't pass some value, but you definitely want to get some type of peer review from sites that are within your own niche. Also, make sure that the link comes from a website with either relevant traffic or high search volume. Two reasons to get links: that you can actually get click-through traffic from it, or that it's attempting to help you in the search engine result pages. So if it's just a link that has a no-follow tag applied to it, but if, say for example, it's on CNN.com, that link can definitely drive traffic to your website, which is ultimately the goal of any type of optimization. You also want to make sure that it passes link juice and does not use a no-follow tag. You also want to make sure that the page that is linking to you is receiving fresh links and it's not overlinking. So once again, we try to say that if there's more than 50 links on a page, it's probably not a good place to want to get a link from. Once again, because it's going to trip a filter. So you also want to make sure that that page or that site is indexed in all major search engines. If not, there could be crawl issues. It could be penalized or de-indexed, and so in which case it won't really help you. Okay, moving along. This is something that I came up with just to sort of provide a little preface, because we're going to be moving into the keyword research portion of this. And a lot of people ask, well, how long will it take? Or, if I want to rank for a specific keyword, how long will it take? Well, this is just something that I put together, showing you that typically when you're going after keywords, you want to look at the number of competing pages, because that really does determine essentially how saturated a market or niche is. So what we consider a low-hanging fruit or a very available phrase would be something that has 50,000 or less competing pages. The way that you do that is you take the keyword in Google and you place it in quotes, and it will return a result, which I can show you in a little while. But this is one of the things that you look at. So for example, if you have a brand new website and say there's a 500,000 or a 550,000 competing pages for your keyword, this is sort of around the metric of, on a national level, the type of links that you need to acquire over time in order to be able to rank for a keyword of that nature. But so it's essentially that you need to build or understand the amount of authority that you require to rank for a specific keyword. Realize that there is a barrier to entry, which is all the people who started before you, all the links they built, all the content that they have. So you're going to need to scale your content and relevance from the bottom up. And once you essentially pass that tipping point or reach that plateau, then you want to look for ways that you can create another process that's called keyword stemming.